Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Louisville Metro Hall. I'm going to first provide an update on some information regarding the UPS crash. So, yesterday and the night before, certainly has been a long 36 hours for our city. 36 hours of tragedy, 36 hours of heroism and hard work by our first responders, 36 hours of our city once again coming together and showing our strength in these challenging times. The updates are that as of right now, 12 individuals have been located who have died in the crash. Their bodies have been removed from the scene by the coroner, and they are currently working on identifying each of those 12 victims. The number of missing that we have tracked through our Family Assistance Center that LMPD has been operating since right after the crash is down to 9. I had previously reported that there were 15 individuals that had been reported as missing. We have located 6 of those individuals over the last 24 hours. And so we're now down to 9 that are missing. If you do the math, we may have located all of the victims. There may be more that have not yet been reported. And so I would ask if there are families that are still out there that are wondering about someone who may be missing, please call immediately. Please call 800-631-0604. That would be incredibly helpful information if there are still individuals who you have not heard from and you think may have been around the crash site. Our hope is that we have located all of the victims at this point, but again, we do not know. The search will continue. The teams will be out there searching through the debris now in what's called a delayering search in coordination and with the NTSB and their investigation about the crash. There will also be individuals that will be looking underneath. There's so much debris there. There is so much charred, mangled metal that not all of the bodies may have been located until you look underneath certain things. And so that is going through the various layers of debris on the field. That will begin now. Everything to date has been just looking at what can be seen without moving debris. NTSB, as they reported yesterday, has identified and located the black box on the voice recorder, and then that should be incredibly helpful, assisting with their investigation. And also, Jody Myman, our Director of Emergency Management Services, he and members of his team are in close coordination and communication with the NTSB, staying up to date on their search and anything that we can do to assist them with their investigation and communications. We've talked a lot about first responders over the past few days and the amazing work that they did. I want to give a special shout out to one agency, and that is our Muhammad Ali Louisville International Airport Department of Public Safety. At the airport, you may or may not know, but there is a Department of Public Safety just for the airport, fire, EMS, and police, all in one department, led by Chief Josh Grimes. They responded immediately just because of their proximity on the airport. They were the very first responders on the scene that drove through the fences, past the airport boundaries to immediately begin the first response to the crash and the immediate aftermath. They've had to deal with a lot since then, and I want to give a special thanks to all of the public safety professionals that work for our airport. Thank you all so much. Speaking of the airport, there are 2 runways that are now open at the airport. That is one more than yesterday. There's still one runway that the NTSB is still connected to their investigation. To answer a few other questions that we've been getting from members of the community, which are not yet full answers, but this is the best that we have at the time. I know there's still folks that don't have power for some of the businesses that are located near the crash site LG&E is on site right now, and they are seeing what they can do to get power turned back on. The NTSB will be releasing buildings as they identify properties that they either have recovered the debris from or are not directly pertinent to the investigation. And it's safe that LG&E will be restoring power throughout this process. Yesterday, when I was out at the crash site, there were wires everywhere that had come down as a result of the crash. Wires on the street, wires on property. And so we need to, again, put public safety and people's safety at the top of the list. And so they will be getting the power back on as safely as they can. Also, there are still some roads that are closed, Grade Lane and Crittenden Drive. Again, we will be working to reopen those as quickly as we can with safety as the top priority. So we're looking at a plan for doing that. And for the businesses that are located along Grade Lane, we are making contact with those businesses, and there will be escorted access opportunities for business owners to survey their property if there's anything that they need until such time as their full access is restored as the roads are open. And my final report before we'll take questions, and then we'll go into the second part of our briefing. But the final thing is just extending an invitation. There's a vigil tonight at the Teamsters local headquarters here in Louisville, and they have invited the entire community to come out to that vigil to be together during these times. And that's something that I think is very helpful for the entire community, is to come together, to share our sorrow, share our heartbreak, to say some prayers for the victims and the families that we lost in this tragedy, and to find strength to keep moving forward individually, as families, and as a community. That's the update we have as of right now, and I'm happy to take any questions about the crash before we continue.
About the maintenance records for this plane. We understand it was grounded in September and October.
The question was, what have I learned about the maintenance records for this plane? I do not have any information on the specifics about the plane. I will defer to NTSB and UPS on questions related to the investigation. I don't have anything to update on it.
Were there people in the jump seats as well?
So the question is, were there people in jump seats? Again, I will defer to UPS on exactly where that is. The information that I have is that there were 3 individuals that were all part of the crew on the plane. That is the extent of my information. I don't know where on the plane they were sitting or what they were doing at the time of the crash.
We're getting some calls about people saying they were sick after the crash from breathing in the smoke and the air quality. What is the latest on the air quality after the crash and now?
I'll defer to, the question was about the latest on the air quality after the crash, and I'm going to turn it over to Director Jody Myman for that.
Yes, we were able very quickly deploy air monitors right after the crash, and then the 41st Civil Support Team from the National Guard came in and took over air monitoring for us, and they actually not only air monitored around the area, but we gave them several intersections for, going north where the plume was, all the way towards the river, and they were not getting any significant air monitoring readings for any health hazards all the way to the river, and that's why through the night we were able to significantly reduce that shelter-in-place area now to what it is. It's just a quarter of a mile, which really only encompasses the site. We're still continuing air monitoring around the area. It's been a subcontractor coming in, so we've released the 41st Civil Support Team, and now we've got a contractor on site that's doing real-time air monitoring 24/7.
To what's in the air that warrants this shelter in place to continue?
They always check for any kind of explosive limits, any kind of volatile organic compounds. They check for carbon monoxide. They check for oxygen levels to make sure that the oxygen levels are correct. And like I said, away from that site, they didn't get any adverse readings.
What adverse readings are they getting at the site, though?
Really nothing right now. We're getting very minimal because the spot fires have gone down. We're not getting any smoke off the site, so we're not getting any adverse health readings at the site itself. Just the workers.
There are also, just to clarify, within that radius that Jody just mentioned, there are very few, if any, individuals that there beyond the people who are working at the site.
Kevin Williams, New York Times. What federal assets besides the NTSB assets or agencies are involved in the operation?
The question was what federal assets are involved beyond the NTSB. The FBI is also involved in this investigation. As we mentioned yesterday, if individuals have debris on their property that they report, it's actually going to be an FBI agent that comes and meets them at that property to do the investigation about that debris that's located on their property. We've been in touch, all of the congressional delegations, Congressman McGarvey, Senator Paul, Senator McConnell, Senator Paul, Congressman Guthrie, they've all been in contact with us. In terms of other federal agencies. Oh, EPA. Yeah. And the EPA and ATF as well.
With the FBI's debris investigation as debris, we know a lot of people on social media are posting images of maybe letters or pieces of burnt paper that they have. Would that be considered something they can call for?
They can report that. Whether that's useful to the investigation or not, I defer that to the NTSB as to what is important for their investigation. I think they're mostly focused on actually parts of the plane, but knowing, my guess is they will want to know where other things happened. I've heard those same reports about things that might have been some mail that might have been on the plane and how far it traveled. It's mind-blowing to hear some of those stories.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
which agencies are conducting the delayering, and is that by hand or with equipment, and what kind of equipment?
Yeah, so we've got urban search and rescue teams from all over the county that have come in and they're doing methodical searches. And then again, if they find something that they need to get into, they've got to coordinate with the NTSB to make sure that it's not any kind of aircraft component or anything. And if it is, they have to be approved to be able to move that around. So we've got local urban search and rescue teams from around the county that are working through that.
Be doing that kind of work for
until we can completely confirm that we've got all the victims located.
Yeah, many of those members on that urban search and rescue team are members of the various fire departments, including Louisville Fire Department. Chief Brian O'Neill is with us here today as well.
Yesterday, there were still some hot spots that were being monitored and taken care of. Can we get a status of the firefighting that's going on?
The question was about hot spots that we were talking about yesterday and the status of the firefighting.
Yes, they're out as of now, but they still could, they could still flare back up just because of the deep seedness of it. So we've got fire crews that are staying 24/7 throughout the night, monitoring anywhere that we suspect that anything could flare up. But as of right now, they're out.
What are these hot spots? Can you give us?
Throughout the half mile, they're just throughout the half mile. Like I said, various locations. I mean, they're just sporadic.
Persistent.
Because they're so deep seated and because it could be a component of the aircraft itself. We don't want to get in there and move things around in order to not mess up the investigation.
Couple more, yeah.
Mayor, the 9 who are missing, are they presumed to be in that area at the time of the crash, or these families that just can't get in touch with their loved ones? Do you know those details?
I believe the question was about the 9 who I said are still unaccounted for. Those are all individuals that were presumed to be in that area at the time of the crash. Cadaver dogs are not being used right now.
Can you describe more about the difficulties of finding these people?
The difficulties of finding the individuals? Well, again, so the 9 people that have been reported missing are family members that have not gotten in contact with these individuals that they have reason to believe might have been in or around that area. We have located 12 victims of this crash, including what we believe to be 3 of the UPS crew. Yesterday, we were able to identify 6 people who were on that list the day before by doing continuous outreach to the individuals in many different ways, or other people that connected with our teams to let them know that they're okay. So we'll continue. We don't have any other information at that point.
Can you speak to relocating the Family Assistance Center from the LMPD Training Center to the undisclosed location?
So now the question was about the movement of the Family Assistance Center. We wanted to have a central, well-known location and when we were trying to identify who may be missing, that people could easily get to, and that would be heavily publicized to get that information in the hours after the crash. And now that we believe we have identified the individuals who are still being missing, we're looking for privacy for the family to continue to support the families that are searching for answers, that are grieving, and we want to be there to be able to continue to support them in a private setting. And so that's why we're asking people, if there are still individuals who are missing, please call 1-800-631-0604. Yes, sir.
You were there yesterday, right?
I was.
Can you describe, I guess, two-part question. Can you describe just what you saw and whether it was worse than you expected or what you expected? And is there any possibility, this is one of these you never know unless you ask questions, of allowing the media access to the crash site just to help us convey the scope of the destruction? Obviously, we don't want to get in the way of any search and recovery and be respectful.
So I'll answer the second question first about the access to the site. The NTSB is controlling the site right now, and so I would direct that question to the NTSB about access to the site for members of the media. In terms of what I saw yesterday, it was tragic. It was horrific. It was, you hear people say, "Oh, you only see that in the movies." This was worse than the movies. Half a mile long, standing there where you could just see the destruction, the charred, mangled metal. In some cases, at that point, there were still some smoke rising from piles of debris. Saw first responders that were still working intensely, most of whom had just gotten to the scene, some of whom, though, had been there since the night before, that were still working, doing whatever it takes to identify victims, to make sure we could get back safely as a community. Their heroism is unmatched. You see that in times of tragedies like this, but I know from the work that I'm doing right now that it's happening every day in ways large and small across our entire city, across our entire country. But the amount of things that were just so charred. We saw a top of we call it a silo, where there was literally part of the tail of the plane appeared to be sticking out of a storage silo. And then I don't know how many yards away, you saw the top of that silo sitting on the ground, just totally charred. Just the intensity of the flames and what that did so quickly to a half a mile long debris field was unimaginable prior to seeing it with my own eyes firsthand. Well, thank you all very much. We will continue to keep the community up to date as soon as we have information. I know there's a lot of questions about who the victims are. The coroner will be releasing information on the identity of the victims as they have that information. UPS may be releasing information about the crew members. But we will continue to keep you all updated, and our teams will continue to stay at work as long as necessary to get answers for the families, to get answers for the community, and to support the NTSB in their work. I will close with, when I met the NTSB board member Inman yesterday, he told us about what the NTSB and basically their job is to learn what happened, use that knowledge to prevent future tragedies like this from happening in the future. And so we want to support the NTSB in every way, shape, or form that we can to get all of the answers as to what happened, to work to prevent a tragedy like this from happening in any other community ever again as we move forward. It's also during times like this that coming together is so important, and being together as a community can help in the healing process, help in the grieving process, and to help as we all move forward into the future. And so I'm incredibly proud that this weekend we're going to be celebrating Veterans Day as a community, which will give us an opportunity to come together as a community. If I can invite some of our friends that are here today that are involved in the Veterans Day Parade to now join me as we talk about one way the community will have an opportunity to come together to show our strength as a community and to show our support for veterans who have been out there working on behalf of everyone throughout the entire country for generations. We'll take a quick moment as they come up to the stage to join me to talk about the Veterans Day Parade. Thank you all. So once again, it's particularly appropriate this weekend to celebrate our veterans. And as we approach Veterans Day, I'm honored to invite all Louisville residents to join us for the annual Kentucky Veterans Parade and Celebration this Saturday, downtown and in NULU. This Veterans Day Parade is a signature event for our city and a time when we can recognize and express our deepest gratitude to the brave men and women who have served our country. This year marks the 15th anniversary of the parade, and we're excited for its return. Rachel and I are looking forward to joining everyone at 11 a.m. on Saturday morning on East Market Street in NULU. This is a new location for the parade, a new location that we hope brings even more people to come celebrate our veterans and thank them for their public service. I encourage everyone to come out, join us, and bring your families. It's an opportunity to line the street, wave our flags, show our veterans thanks, and because of what we've gone through this week as a community, come together with one another and show our strength and support as a community. We'll be recognizing the incredible individuals who fought for our freedom at home and around the world, who risked their lives so that we all could enjoy the freedoms that we have today. So let's come together as a community. Let's come together to support our veterans. And I'd like to give thanks and a special recognition to a few individuals who are here with us today. First, my fellow mayor, Mayor Byron Chapman from Middletown, who has played a key role in this parade, I believe, since the very beginning, 15 years ago. Once again, Mayor Chapman will be bringing his convoy from the Middletown VFW downtown to NULU as part of this parade. Thank you so much, Mayor Chapman. Thank you, Commissioner Wolf from Middletown as well, joining us part of this parade. And Mario Maped for his U.S. government-issued military vehicle that will be in the parade and is part of the history group. Thank you, Mario. And a fun fact about that vehicle, it was built in February of 1943 by the Ford Motor Company at the Louisville branch plant. In fact, 20% of Jeeps in World War II rolled off of the Louisville plant's assembly line. That's another connection that our city had to what our veterans did so much for all of us. It's a great group that we're very, very thankful for. I also want to give special recognition to two of my colleagues who also are veterans, two colleagues who I have the opportunity to work with regularly throughout Louisville Metro government, and that is Councilwoman Betsy Rui, who is here with us today, and also Councilman Anthony Piagentini, who represents District 19, who served in the Marine Corps, who often joins us in the parade. Councilwoman Rui represents District 21, and she served in the Army Reserve during Desert Storm. The individual who organizes this parade is Wayne Hettinger, who's well known to everyone across the community for putting on large-scale events that bring our community together, whether it's Thunder Over Louisville or the Veterans Day Parade. He is the co-chair of the Kentucky Veterans Parade and Celebration. I'd now like to invite Wayne Hettinger to say a few words about this weekend's events. Wayne?
Thank you, Mayor. Boy, here we go. 15 years and growing. It's another year of excitement. As the mayor mentioned, we've moved to LULU after last year. In review of what we had done with the production, it was like, how do we make it better? Which is always the theme that we work from. And it was decided, let's move to where the people are, and that certainly is in NULU. The amount of people that are there on the weekends is phenomenal. So I'm very excited about that. And Mayor, I must say, obviously, all of us that have been working on the parade It's been a tough few days for us and all the citizens in Louisville. Our hearts and prayers certainly go out to the victims, their families, and certainly our friends at UPS. But as co-chair, we must move on, and it's our chance to honor and celebrate our veterans, all the women and men that have put their life on the line at one time to defend our freedoms and the way that we have freedoms to live throughout the year. So I'm encouraging everybody to come down. I'm supposed to be answering or telling a few things about our what we call touch a tank. As you know, after the parade, there's 75 units in the parade and growing, and a lot of it is the restored military equipment. So after the parade is through, we're going to do the blessing of the colors, which is a very emotional thing. I encourage you to hang in for that. And then all the restored vehicles and equipment are going to be on display on Market Street. So it's a chance to walk through living history. The guys that put all these restored equipment together, they're phenomenal people. I mean, it's obviously been their hobby and their love to restore this equipment. And the whole Touch a Tank theme came because we're going to have a World War II tank there. And it's a chance for kids and families. It's a great photo op. It's a chance for the kids to climb on the equipment and learn what it took to defend this nation during a time of war. Speaking of that, Mayor, on the way downtown this morning, I was thinking about that World War II tank, and I kept on thinking if what the response would be if you went home to Rachel or I went home to Pam and say, honey, I bought a tank. So these are incredible people that have just gone overboard with keeping this history so that we can learn from it. I think that's it, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Wayne, for the effort. Again, Rachel and I are excited to join with the community in strength and solidarity more than ever this Saturday at 11 a.m. in NULU as we salute and thank our veterans as part of the annual Veterans Day Parade and celebration. May the memory of the 12 victims be a blessing. May we find strength and support in one another. And we pray that we have located all of the victims, the tragic UPS plane crash. Thank our first responders for their efforts. Thank you all very much. We'll continue to keep you up to date on any other additional information. Have a good day.